Broadcasting to you on WNN 1470 AM and TrentoVision.tv from the world's leading think tank laboratory, buried deep in an undisclosed building in hostile territory where evil and corruption is exposed. You're about to enter the Tom Trento Show.
Trento heads United West, a group that says it defends Western civilization against the onslaught of Islam.
And Tom Trento also defends Israel against the onslaught of its allies in Washington, D.C. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is CJ. I'm substituting for your host of TrentoVision.tv, Tom Trento. Tom and J. Mark Campbell are in Washington, D.C. right now, attending the Israel Allies Foundation conference taking place there. And we're going to tell you a little bit about that. And it's such a shame they're not in the studio with us today. I have to tell you, you're not going to believe what's going on around here. I got a dancing imam in the background somewhere. I got a producer who's all hopped up because the program just writes itself, and it's an amazing program for you today on this Friday, November 15th.
What did you say it was?
2013, and it is Jumpin, Jummah, Freaky Friday.
So I'm not Mark, big deal.
Kill you! I haven't done that in a while. I miss doing that.
I know, it's been a little while.
I miss doing that.
I miss it so much.
You're going to do it again.
Silence! I kill you!
Can the imam match that?
No.
No? No, you can't do as well as that, can you?
No, that's very, very difficult to top that.
Okay.
Very difficult.
Well, we have some interesting stories for you today. We're going to start, we're going to tell you a little bit about the Israel Allies Foundation and why Tom and Mark are in Washington. Obviously, it's an extremely critical time in Israel's history, and the Jewish state of Israel really needs its allies. The dark forces of evil around the world are aligning themselves to wipe out the state of Israel. And who is going to stand with Israel when Israel finally decides that it has to take matters into its own hands and defend itself against a nuclear Iran? Who's out there to defend them?
Let me think. Oh, nobody.
Nobody. But there are a lot of proud Christian Zionists in this country, and Jewish ones as well. And some of them are in the Congress actually, and they're part of this committee, all meeting together. So that's where Tom and Mark are, and the timing couldn't be better for it.
No, it really couldn't. I mean, it really, really couldn't with everything that's been going on with the false talks and everything else. It's absolutely insane what's going on, and the timing of this could not be any better, because part of the reason behind this is it's basically preventative PR for, it's really not looking like if but when Israel is forced to get rid of Iran's nuclear program for it. And, basically, and the whole world, particularly anyone having to do with the United Nations, is basically going to be ganging up.
Sorry for laughing.
Against Israel.
Right, but why should Israel be so concerned about Iran? After all, the Obama administration is imposing such strict sanctions on the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Oh, yeah.
Are they not?
Well,
oh, wait a minute. Actually, they're not. And that brings us to one of our first stories today. Exclusive, Obama's secret Iran détente. Now, I don't know if any of you remember, but a few weeks ago when Tom and Mark were in Israel, one of our guests that we were very lucky to have on our show is Matman Mark Langfan, who gave us a very interesting background on Obama's and Valerie Jarrett's behind-the-scenes workings with the Islamic Republic of Iran. And going back to Obama's first term. And at the time we were talking about how, the Barack Hussein Obama was chasing after the new Iranian president, Rouhani, the moderate.
Oh, he's
not,
so moderate.
Not like he was trying to find a prom date. Well, in the last 5 months, apparently, Obama has secretly been working, and now the secret is out, behind the scenes to ease the sanctions.
Wait, so while Congress is trying
Congress is trying to impose stricter sanctions against Iran to get them to stop their nuclear program, the White House, represented by Barack Hussein Obama, is working behind the scenes in the opposite direction to ease the sanctions against Iran. And what does this mean? Well, that means that since this Rouhani's charm offensive in the West, Iran has been probably illegally on the black market been selling anywhere from 150,000 to 200,000 barrels of oil a day. Wink, wink, wink. Wink, 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 under the nose of Obama, who thinks that that is just swell.
Yeah, he does.
We have a good quote on that?
Yeah, and this is from a Mr. Dubowitz, who is with who, CJ?
The Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Mark Dubowitz is the executive director.
And here's the quote. It says, for 5 months since Rouhani's election, the United States has offered Iran 2 major forms of sanctions relief. First, there's been a significant slowdown in the pace of designations while the Iranians are proliferating the number of front companies and cutouts to bust sanctions. The second kind of relief, Dubowitz said, the White House had offered Iran was through its opposition to new Iran sanctions legislation supported by both
parties in Congress.
So, I mean, Valerie Jarrett probably doesn't really have anything to do with this, does she? The Iranian-born communist sympathizer, well, communist, not communist sympathizer.
No, she's a communist. Yeah. And actually, if you go to youtube.com/The United West, where all our shows are archived, I think we must have probably at least 600 shows by now.
Well, there's over 400 videos, let's put it that way.
Okay, there's over 400 videos, but we've actually produced over 600 shows, I think.
Well, you're counting
you're counting
the 3-hour shows.
Yeah, I'm counting the 3-hour shows.
That, yes.
Yeah.
If you do that, yes. But we're over a year on the air now.
Yeah, we're over a year on the air, and it feels like it.
This
it feels like it was just yesterday. This week feels like it. Tom, come home, please.
Mark, come home.
Yeah. So anyway, go to youtube.com/The United West, because we did a 3-part special on the women advisors who are part of Obama's inner circle, and there's quite a lot of information about Valerie Jarrett that you might want to check out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
she's not good.
So I think it's very interesting that Barack Obama is working against the interests of the United States and its citizens and its allies, not just Israel, but all over the Middle East, Europe, everybody, to the point where in talks in Switzerland, we actually needed the French to bail us out of a bad deal. on negotiations with Iran to get them to cease their nuclear program, or at least slow it down. Although I don't know why anybody would want to slow it down if they actually believe that it's just for peaceful purposes to create domestic electricity for the richest oil country in the world.
Well, what of?
Yeah.
Well,
I can't imagine that. But
unbelievable. Well, you know.
but Iran is not without its allies.
No. I think they have 2. Actually, no. They have more than 2.
Yeah, behind the snes they do, because whoever's getting all that oil that they're not supposed to be getting is certainly an ally, including some of our allies who are setting up their own front companies to evade the sanctions against Iran.
Well, we all know that Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism. And the most well-known, most responsible for the most U.S. deaths prior to 9/11 was that group.
Our friends, not Hezbollah. And Hezbollah is in the news again today. Why?
Why?
Because they're threatening war if there is no deal with Iran.
Well, that seems weird.
I can't believe Hezbollah is threatening war, and it's really interesting because when we were looking over these stories before the show, I asked our producer, Damon, I said, why is that even a headline, Hezbollah threatens war? What else does Hezbollah do but threaten war? And what did you say?
Well, this is for a different reason.
Yeah, well, you said they only threaten war when they're not actually at war.
Right.
So they're either threatening war or they're being at war.
Yeah, you said, do they do anything but
Do
threaten
they
war?
do anything but threaten war? And you said,
they
go to war.
And
All
they
right.
commit terrorism.
And they commit terrorism, which is also a form of warfare. So Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah warned in a rare public opinion appearance on Wednesday. All his appearances are rare. Apparently there's a few people who want to off him.
Yeah.
That failure, and have you noticed that? What a sissy this guy is, that he won't even appear in public? That a failure to strike a deal with the ally Iran over its nuclear program would spell war in the region. Ooh. The West and Israel have long suspected Iran is pursuing a nuclear weapons capability alongside its civilian program, allegations fiercely denied by Tehran. And then here we go, because we couldn't, what could unite Hezbollah and Syria and Iran any more than?
Oh, that? It's a picture of Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, with his quote, "There is no solution to the conflict in this region except with the disappearance of Israel." Secretary General of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah. And for those of you not in the viewing audience, might we recommend a trip to the old United West YouTube site and get a couple of pictures of this handsome devil.
That's right, yeah. But actually, isn't he considered by many in the European Union just to be a political figure? Yeah, no need to put him on the terror watch list, right?
No, none whatsoever.
Right.
You know, here's another couple of quotes that I just absolutely...
Oh, yeah, I like the one about Israel here. Israel does not want any accord that would avert war in the region. In other words, it's the Israelis who are the warmongers. It is regrettable that some Arab countries take the Israeli side in its murderous choices.
Oh, yes.
And what Arab countries would those be? Oh, like maybe Saudi Arabia and some of the other Gulf states?
Yep.
Yeah. Now that is, you know that the world is really upside down when Israel and Saudi Arabia are on the same side.
Yeah.
Is that scary? Oh my gosh, look at these pictures. Yeah, can you do it on the full screen?
Yeah,
That's a really
sure.
good picture. Look at that.
have-
What we're showing, tell them what we're showing.
We have kids on tricycles with like trailers all camouflaged out with fake RPGs and missiles and posters of Hassan Nasrallah in the background.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, and this is the really scary one here.
This is,
Look at this.
This is why it's going to take generations
Yeah.
to change the mentality of these Middle Eastern kids. What we're looking at on the air right now is a group of, I would say, little boys anywhere from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old
Yeah.
in full camouflage, berets, and I'm hoping what are fake submachine guns.
Oh, also the keffiyehs.
And the black and white keffiyehs.
Yeah, yeah.
Your Arafat keffiyeh.
Your Arafat keffiyeh
And
your
this-
Gaddafi beret.
It's absolutely unbelievable. And the hatred that these kids grow up in, I mean, they just really, really don't have a chance.
You're right. And
know?
it does take a few generations to undo the damage, because these kids are 10 years old. If they don't get killed by getting thrown as jihadi cannon fodder in a war against the Jewish state or against another sect of Islam that they happen to be in a battle with on a certain time, then they're gonna live to be in their 60s or their 70s. So you're looking at people who are they're like a breeding incubus for hatred that they will pass to their children and their children's children as well. And where is Hezbollah? Okay, Hezbollah owns the real estate of at the very minimum southern Lebanon.
Yes.
Okay.
Where Tom and Mark just were.
Where Tom and Mark just were, and where they have launched many attacks against Israel over the last, for sure, 20 years. And so it's not just state actors aligned against Israel. It's Hezbollah. It's Hamas, which doesn't really own its own state yet.
Yes, they do.
Yet. Okay.
Well, they control the Gaza Strip.
They control
which is
the
autonomous.
Gaza.
Autonomous.
They control the Gaza Strip, but until there's a fake, phony peace agreement with Israel, they do not control the airspace or the sea space leading to, or the desert space leading to the Gaza Strip. So
that is why they are
until
occupied.
That's why they're occupied. That's right. And right now they're partially occupied by illegal activities, and as far as smuggling operations goes in tunnels with Egypt, and also in murdering Egyptian soldiers, Egyptian policemen in the Sinai. But when they're not doing that...
Oh, are you talking about that?
Am I talking about that? Well, we're gonna get to that, because, you know, Hamas hates everybody. It's not just, you know, it's not just Israel. It's first and foremost Israel and the Jewish people, but they got their problems with other people as well. So I just wanted to point that out. But there was a celebration that Hamas held. You know what? You know, I'm wishing that we had. I just thought of it. It's really a shame that we don't have the pictures of. We've shown these before when Hamas with the kids, with their training camps, with their summer camps, and showing them how to kidnap and torture and kill Israeli
Your
IDF.
tax dollars hard at work.
Yeah, your tax dollars. When you're taxed to give money to the Palestinians, that's where your money goes. So Hamas spokesman celebrates the murder of an IDF soldier. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
A Palestinian terrorist stabbed and killed an IDF soldier at the central bus station in the northern city of Afula on Wednesday. The soldier was Private Eden, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Atayas, from the Israeli city of Nazareth. Congratulations to the Palestinian West Bank hero who killed an Israeli soldier this morning, Hamas spokesman Fazi Baroum wrote on his Facebook page. See how, when people say that they're 1,000 years behind the times, they're not really. Look how technologically adept they are now. All these terrorists have their own Facebook pages.
There it is. It's in Arabic, but there's his Facebook page.
This is a heroic act of resistance showing that all methods of oppression and terror have not and will not succeed in stopping our people from carrying out jihad and resistance. We call on our people and the Palestinian youth,
the youths,
to take part in the movement of the resistance no matter the sacrifice. Now this terrorism act was committed from the West Bank. And isn't that where our partners for peace are?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that where the the capital of the Palestinian Authority is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and what are they up to over there?
No good.
No good?
No good.
No good? Just fun and games, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go back.
You want to go back?
Okay, I want to go back to this quote for a second, okay? Because people really, I know we like to make fun of this stuff, at least I do, because otherwise it'll just make you nuts, okay? But I want to go back to this quote for a second.
Okay.
Now, again, this is the Hamas spokesperson, Fazi Baroum, and he is speaking of the murder of a sleeping 19-year-old Israeli soldier. Now, here's the quote. Congratulations to the Palestinian West Bank hero who killed an Israeli soldier. This is a heroic act of resistance showing that all methods of oppression and terror have not and will not succeed in stopping our people from carrying out jihad and resistance. We call on our people and the Palestinian youth to take part in the movement of the resistance no matter the sacrifice. I mean, CJ, does this not show you what animals these people are? To call them people is really, I feel like I'm doing a disservice to the rest of humanity to include these animals in with them.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, this is not human behavior. Not where I grew up.
No, it's inhuman, and it's a culture that celebrates death. It's a culture of death.
What do you mean by that?
It's a culture that celebrates death. That's what I mean by that. That's what they live for. They live for death.
Well, what do they say? What is one of their favorite things that they say?
Who are these people? Okay? These people, and I'm calling them people. Okay, you can
loosely. We're using the term very, very loosely.
Hamas is the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes.
Okay? So when you hear representatives of the people of the United States, either from the White House or from the Senate or from the House of Representatives, try to explain to you that the Muslim Brotherhood is merely a political organization that wants to democratize and westernize the Middle East, you need to remember who Hamas is, okay? You look at the little teeny tiny country of Israel. You got Hamas on the Gaza Strip. You got Hezbollah coming from Lebanon. You got the whole ring of enemies that just, it spans the globe. The whole, where's the little islands of support for Israel on the globe? And besides Micronesia. I don't think they have much influence in the proceedings of the world.
Well,
these people are not partners for peace. You cannot negotiate deals with these people until they put down their weapons, until they stop educating their children in school to kill and hate Jews and Christians, until they stop inciting their population through their television, through their radio, through their newspapers, to hate, kill, and murder Jews and Israelis wherever they find them. You do not have a partner for peace. You cannot make peace with people who want to kill you. It's as simple as that. Now, can you have a Cold War? Can you have a standoff for a really long time? You can, and Israel is lucky enough every few years to be in that standoff period of time until the brilliant people from Washington, D.C. decide that it's time to send their Secretary of State back and forth to Jerusalem, back and forth to Ramallah. Our Secretary of State doesn't go to Gaza City.
No.
No.
No, he does not.
To shuttle back and forth, how many millions of travel miles to go back and forth to try to get the Jews of Israel to capitulate to the terrorists who want to kill them? It cannot be. It cannot happen.
I'd like to see, I don't understand how Israel can be pressured into making a deal with an entity that technically does not exist. When you have Fatah and Hamas still killing each other, okay, how is anything signed with Mahmoud Abbas, the guy serving year 99 of his
In the
term?
99th year of his 4-year term.
Okay, how can anything that Israel signs with an unelected leader from a party with no legitimacy that is at war with the other party from the entity that it's supposed to represent? Why is Israel releasing murderers? Why is John Kerry over there pressuring Israel to make a deal that even if Israel were to make a suicidal deal, there's no one on the other side to enforce it? Because there's no one in power. People don't understand. There is no one in power for the Palestinians. There is no one that has the authority to negotiate for the Palestinians because the Palestinians are fractured.
Well, that is why the Palestinians are counting on the Obama White House to negotiate their position for them. What do you think John Kerry's been up to in his latest rounds over in Israel? Threatening the Israelis with a third intifada if they don't do a good deal with the Palestinians. And what's a good deal? A good deal for, as far as John Kerry and the Obama administration are concerned, is the end of Israel. And that's what people don't really understand, I think, is that the United States is working against Israel to destroy Israel and using its economic and diplomatic and military pressure against the state of Israel, not in defense of the state of Israel. Kerry warns of third intifada and Israel's isolation if peace talks break down.
So
this
instantly,
is a story
he's
we
putting
covered.
the blame on Israel.
That's
the only
right.
civilized people at the table are going to get the blame, not these murderous animals.
That's right.
Okay?
That's
and when I
right.
say murderous animals, I like someone to show me where I'm wrong. I like to talk to For Nazi, who I saw the other night, getting her little SJP crew together at FAU to hassle a former admitted anti-Semite. He was a Pakistani-born Muslim, such as myself, and he is still Muslim.
Oh, can we take a minute for you to tell us about that? Do you want to tell us about that? Or
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, I went to the Stand With Us the other night.
Earlier this week we told you about a program that was taking place at FAU in Boca Raton. Boca Raton, oh my gosh, it's 31 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It's 30 minutes after the hour of 3 p.m. And we are broadcasting to you from WNN 1470 AM radio in Boca Raton, Florida, where you can hear us on the radio live from Miami all the way up to Orlando. You can listen to us anywhere your smartphone or other smart device works. All you have to do is download the free iHeartRadio app, and wherever you get a signal, you can listen to our show. You're also watching us on TrentoVision.tv and theunitedwest.org and the teapartycommunity.com and off the website Bare Naked Islam, which we're going to have a reference to later on in the show. And don't forget to visit our archives, youtube.com/theunitedwest. If you're listening on the radio and you want to see pictures or videos that we showed during the broadcast, please check us out. And don't forget, you can sign in and send your comments. And those are actually read, aren't they?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I know, because every now and then I get notes from somebody telling me what I did wrong, and it was from people in the comments.
Let's give a shout out to Harry in California, who I spoke to the other day.
Okay.
Hello, Harry.
Hi, Harry.
I got to get your book and movies out to you. But hello, and thanks for watching us, and thanks for telling your friends. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Harry in California. All right, back to FAU. We told you earlier this week about the program in FAU. A reformed anti-Semite,
yes.
Qasim Hafiz,
yes.
Was speaking to the students over there. And tell us a little bit about how this program
Well, it was
went.
a really good turnout. Unfortunately, most of the people there were older. Not that I'm not happy to see the older people there. I would have preferred to see more students getting educated.
Right.
I love old people. Listen, you're
right.
the greatest generation, and I don't mean to call you old. I love you guys.
Older.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is it was a little disappointment that there weren't more students there. In fact, I would say there were more students from the SJP, the Students for Justice in Palestine there.
Which is a Muslim Brotherhood group.
Which is, I don't know if they're direct descendants, but what they are
well,
is
through the MSA, aren't they?
Well, what they are is, whereas the MSA is a direct, I mean, that is them.
Okay, so they're
SJP,
cousins.
the SJP is more focused, where the MSA came through with the big bulldozer, and what they've done is they've kind of laid the path down for the SJP to be very narrowly focused on strictly anti-Israel and pro-Palestinian issues, whereas the MSA kind of laid down the foundation for, hey,
let's just change the culture
Let's
completely.
just change the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
MSA just came in and said, you know what, let's just, here's the big lie.
Yeah.
What the MSA did is they came in and laid out they cleared the path and to let these super hateful. Now, if the limp-wristed ADL puts the SJP on their top 10 most anti-Israel groups,
right?
You know they're not a very good group. So anyway, this guy Qasim Hafiz, he's an admitted former anti-Semite, hated Israel. Told his story about how he reformed. Basically, he read Alan Dershowitz's book.
Which one did he say?
In Defense of Israel. Case for Israel. I'm sorry. It really bothered him. So to prove that his years
that
of
Dershowitz was wrong,
he basically took a trip to Israel to prove Dershowitz was right, and his hateful way was that Dershowitz was wrong. I'm sorry,
and his way was right.
And his hateful way was right. And he went to Israel, and the guy's really personable. He's a pretty funny guy.
He looks like a young guy. What's he,
He's 28.
like 28, 29
28
years old? Yeah.
And he told his story. He went to Israel, and he's telling the story. He just gets off the plane, and he sees what he recognizes as a young Muslim couple, and he goes over to him, and he says, "Oh my God, it must be terrible living here like this. Life must just be awful here." And the guy replies to him, in almost perfect British, goes, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand you." And Qasim Hafiz, who's actually from Britain, he jokes. He goes, "Yeah, so typical British." He goes, "When someone says they don't understand it, we just say it louder and slower." He goes, So, it must be terrible for you living here under these conditions. It must be terribly oppressive.
Right.
And the guy told him, he goes, man, I don't know what you're talking about,
But I got it made!
Here. And then he went on and spoke about how he met some Druze who served in the Israeli army and their son. And basically he met a bunch of people that loved Israel.
Right.
A bunch of Muslims, Christians, everything. And basically that changed his mind. Another thing he said is he did his Hajj pilgrimage while in Britain. And he went with some of his black Muslim friends. He said that he had never experienced racism like he saw his friends receive in Saudi Arabia. He said it was astounding. Absolutely astounding.
Yeah.
The racism that his black Muslim friends received in Mecca for Hajj.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's
Absolutely.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Tell that
So
to
that's
the nation
that. That
of
was
Islam.
It was a really good.
So where does the
so the
SJP come into it?
Noor Fawzi, former head of the SJP. She must be doing grad studies or something.
And right after, and she was
I have a
responsible
great
for
picture
some
of her
really
picking her nose.
revolting. Don't do that.
I do.
Really revolting antics at FAU, including.
The apartheid wall.
Including the apartheid wall, the eviction notices.
Having Greta
Berlin, who's trying to run weapons to Hamas.
Ooh,
On a
speaking of
Gaza
Hamas,
flotilla,
that would be our next story.
and then what about the bloody babies that are supposedly murdered?
Yeah, the lies.
By the IDF.
All the lies.
So after she puts all these wonderful programs together for the students at FAU, the administration at FAU turns around and gives her the Student Leader of the Year award.
Unbelievable.
So, donors in South Florida, if you're graduates of FAU, if you're part of their alumni association, if you're part of the donating supporters of FAU, you need to take a look at what your money is going to on this campus. Now, tell us real quick, how does the SJP figure into the presentation of Hafiz?
Well, they were there just to basically heckle him afterwards. I thought that maybe, this is in California. In California, I will say, the MSAs out there never would have let this guy get up and talk. So at least it's not that radical. But
Right.
what Noor did is have about 5 or 6 of her little SJP mates get up there and try and get Hafiz to admonish Israel's foreign policy, to basically, equate Zionism with Nazism.
Apartheid and Nazism.
They were pathetic. I'll tell you, he was as sharp-tongued as Tom on some of these rebuttals.
Ooh, good.
Okay, the guy's not a joker out there just for a paycheck. He staunchly defended Israel, and I must say, he made each and every one of those idiotic SJP kids look so stupid. I mean, it's amazing these kids can even get into FAU.
Well, I didn't want to say anything about the level of competency of the students entering universities, especially when we just spent a good half hour on the air this week with our very good new friend Rhonda Whitman.
Whose mom I'm going to take to lunch in the next couple weeks.
Who has shown us how the education system in this country has really defaulted when it comes to informing young people about the Holocaust and World War II.
Yeah, so 94 maidens. Anyone who did not get to catch Rhonda Whitman on the show, go to YouTube and search 94 maidens. Also, she has a book out by the same name, 94 Maidens by Rhonda Fink Whitman, and she is very cool, and she's trying to get a law passed in Pennsylvania that would require the public schools to give education on the Holocaust
mandatory
and
Holocaust
other genocides.
not just Holocaust education,
all
but
genocides.
all genocides because
Armenians.
Armenian,
Yep.
Rwandan, threats of genocide. When you hear the leaders in Iran talking about they want to wipe the Zionist entity off the face of the earth, that is genocide, and that is not somebody, those people should not be welcomed to the universities in this country. They should not be welcomed to New York, to the United Nations. I don't even think the United Nations should be in New York. But that's a whole other...
What was the... Give us the one real quick on the United Nations. Just real quick. Just read that list.
Which one?
Oh gosh, we had the story on the United Nations that we weren't sure if we were going to cover it or not.
Oh, I think I got it off my screen already.
Oh, that's okay. I think I have it right here. I think I have it. Oh, maybe not. Anyway, it was Russia, Cuba.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean the Human Rights Council?
Yes, the Human
Thank
Rights
you.
Council.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Russia, China, Cuba, and Saudi Arabia have been voted on to the UN's Human Rights Council. But that's okay because current and former members include Libya, Egypt, Sudan. Sudan, that's where slavery is
Still legal.
Still legal in modern times. Mauritania, I think, was on there. Azerbaijan, where they call their elections before they count the votes.
What's wrong with that?
Come on. Saudi Arabia. You know that women are not allowed to drive there, right? And
I don't have a problem with that.
Well, neither does our Secretary of State. He's actually neutral on the issue. So yeah, that's our United Nations.
So what are you
That's also where your tax dollars are going.
CJ, you playing any sports this weekend?
I have a lot of friends who have kids who are soccer players.
Oh yeah?
That's what we call it here in the United States, soccer.
But what do they call it
in
over
other
there?
parts of the world, in Europe, in the Middle East, they call it football. They mean soccer. I don't know why they can't get it right. They do speak English after all.
You know what?
But
I must say, they probably have it right. You do play it with your foot. I mean, it's not that crazy.
But
it's the most popular sport in the world.
It's the most popular sport in the world, and if you're a young Palestinian and you need a break from your school textbooks that teach you math in terms of, you know, if I kill 3 Jews and there's 4 more Jews in the room, how many Jews did I start out with in the room?
Doing math now.
Yeah, that's how they teach those kids over there.
Yeah.
And they send them to, we already talked about their summer camps where they learn how to, they don't play cowboys and Indians, they play terrorist and
But they
IDF
still play soccer.
soldier.
They play soccer
But
over
kids
there.
are just kids, and kids just want to play soccer. But they want to get on the good teams.
Oh yeah.
And how do our partners for peace?
How do they do it?
How do they do it
They
over
do
there?
it like this.
How do they do it? You want to read that or you want me to read it?
Go ahead.
Palestinian football teams named after terrorists. Oh my gosh.
Go ahead and read through some of that article.
All right. 2 different Palestinian football tournaments recently included teams named after terrorists. 4 teams were named after terrorists who were behind some of the most lethal attacks, murdering Israeli civilians. These are our partners for peace in the Palestinian Authority, who are the moderates compared to Hamas. Is that correct?
That is correct.
In a tournament held at, hold your breath and wait for this,
I know.
Al-Quds University. Yeah, teams were named after terrorists Yahya Ayyash, Dalal Mughrabi, and Ghassan Kanafani. And who are these lovely people?
Oh, tell us.
Yeah, okay. Yahya Ayyash was the first Hamas suicide bomb builder and planner, known as, quote, the engineer. He is considered the founder of Palestinian suicide terror and was behind attacks killing dozens of Israelis and injuring hundreds. And
There's
oh yeah, there's a picture of Arafat with Yahya.
No, he's and the last among them, the martyr, engineer Yahya Ayash.
There we go. Lovely
I
photo.
mean, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Okay, Dalal Mughrabi led the most lethal terror attack in Israel's history in 1978 when she and other terrorists hijacked a bus and killed 37 civilians, 12 of them children.
There she is.
Yeah, what
Oh,
a
look at that with
what
the nice suicide belt and the
Yeah.
Arafat keffiyeh.
Yeah, what a lovely
She
lady.
is one of the most famous of the Palestinian suicide bombers. They have
Yeah.
squares,
streets, schools,
malls,
everything. Yeah.
I mean, she is.
Stamps. I think she's on Stamps
I mean, it's
also.
unbelievable.
All
There's
right.
another of her.
Oh, there's another of her. Yeah. Yeah, she looks like the Black Panther radicals from the 60s.
Ooh, that was a good comparison.
Yeah, when you go back to that other picture. Yeah, there you go. Who does she? Yeah.
See the bombed out bus next to her there?
Yeah, yeah,
It's a good lady.
yeah.
Who else do we have on that list?
We have Ghassan Kanafani was a writer and a leader of the terror organization, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, the PFLP, which, by the way, is a subgroup of the PLO, which, by the way, is the recognized political entity by the United States and the rest of the world of the Palestinian Authority, the PLO.
Look,
This guy.
there he is.
Yeah, the PFLP has planned and carried out numerous terrorist attacks against Israeli civilians since its founding in 1967. And they still have seats in the Palestinian Council, by the way. In another tournament, a team was named after terrorist Ziad Daas, who was a commander of Tanzim Fatah. Now, we know the name Fatah, don't we?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Fatah. That's the head of Fatah is Mahmoud Abbas,
Oh,
right?
yes, the same guy.
Yeah. And planned a terror attack at a bat mitzvah celebration on January 17, 2002, in which a terrorist gunman killed 6 and wounded dozens. Daas also participated in the kidnapping and murder of several others in January 2001 and was killed during a fire exchange with Israeli military police in August 2002. Okay.
And this is who they're naming their soccer teams after.
That's right. This is kids playing soccer, okay? And the official...
Here, you can see what happens when you name them after a terrorist team? You get
Yeah, they all show up.
They all show up.
Yeah. And those were just some of the teams, because the rest of the teams in the tournaments were named after Palestinians who were killed in clashes with Israel,
did you see
not
their coach?
necessarily the planners.
Did you see their coach?
Yeah. Did you show me a picture of the coach?
There he is.
Ah! Okay, now that's a joke, right?
That's a joke.
That's a joke, son. I say that's a joke, son.
For anyone watching, there is a jihadi
Even jihadis
going
need a break.
down the street of a totally bombed out neighborhood with an AK-47 in one hand about to kick a soccer ball.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
And you know what? That kind of looks like Detroit.
And also, at least they do have they're pretty good. They don't sexually discriminate. They let the girls play too.
Oh yeah, there they are. Now that's not. Where is that?
That is somewhere
Because they're
in
wearing
the Arab
pants.
world. Yes, but it's women covered from ankle to eyebrow,
Okay,
minus
but
their hands.
yeah, but parts of their faces are showing, and they're wearing pants. So there's some jihadis out there who would round them up and have a thing or two to say about that. I think.
I think they're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You know who they probably wouldn't let go up there, and these probably wouldn't last too long over there.
Oh, you had to do that.
Oh, I had
Yeah.
to do that.
Our producer has a special folder
It's bikini soccer.
It's bikini soccer, yeah.
That's all. It's
Now people are going to
bikini
see it
soccer.
and they're going to say, CJ, how come you don't play bikini soccer and get
That
your
easy.
picture taken?
You're the one closer. You just can't see the face. Here, that's CJ in the foreground.
Am I in the
CJ
green one?
That's CJ in the green for anyone who was interested in knowing.
See, this is what happens when the boss isn't here. We get pictures of bikini girls on the show. Tom wouldn't approve of that. That's not very Christian.
Well, Tom's not here today.
Tom's not here today, and
So
the
if there are
kids.
any complaints, send them to me.
Tough luck if there's any complaints. Serves you right for being out saving the world and leaving us to do your show while you're gone.
Oh, CJ, can you believe what time it is?
No, because it is like 50 minutes after the hour.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Oh, there's the bikinis again.
I didn't mean to do that.
You
I
didn't
hit the
mean to
wrong
do
take.
that.
I meant to put that up.
Okay, all right. 50 minutes after the hour, you're listening to us on WNN 1470 AM radio from Boca Raton, Florida. We are broadcasting to the whole world. Do you know what? I bet there's people in a cave somewhere in Pakistan or Afghanistan who are listening to us on their smart devices. What do you think?
Pakistan, I can tell you absolutely. I
Absolutely.
have a whole family
I
that
was
lives
going to
in
say,
Pakistan.
yes, but it was a trick because I specifically said in a cave.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I do not care. My family actually live in cave. Listen, you make fun of living in cave, but it is very safe. It is much better than a shanty shack.
Okay, well, if you're going to talk, then I need to have something up on the screen from you.
What are you talking about?
Well, because we're getting close to the end of the show, and I want to see the Jumpin' Jummah Freaky Friday guy on the screen again before we go.
Okay.
So
we
you
can
could
do
surprise
this
me
for
with it
you.
whenever you're ready.
We can do for you one last time.
Because we have a couple of special stories that we still
Oh.
want to get to on this Jumpin'
This
Jummah
is-
Freaky Friday.
This is Jumpin' Jummah Freaky Friday.
This is gold, right?
This is why. These are the stories
Yeah,
that we live for.
yeah, yeah.
Okay? These are the stories
Now,
that
earlier
we live for.
in the show, Damon was saying he doesn't even want to call these people human beings. He doesn't want to call them people. He says that they're animals. And
I think I
really-
have the proof.
Well, you think you have the proof, but, an animal wouldn't apologize. So we have a very interesting...
True. I'm proven wrong.
Okay.
They're not animals.
We have an interesting story for you.
Story of the week.
And if you want more information about it, we encourage you to go to the website Bare Naked Islam because there's some video attached to it, which actually it's pretty scary. And we're not going to show you the video, but we will tell you a little bit about this story.
Can I read?
Please do.
Militant Islamist rebels in Syria linked to Al-Qaeda have asked for understanding and forgiveness for cutting off and putting on display the wrong man's head. Do you believe this?
Oops. Oh my gosh.
Oh, no.
Oh, good grief.
Oh,
That is
goodness.
the picture of it. Okay.
Oh, that is not good.
I have to give a warning to people if you are really squeamish, and I know I am because I'm not even looking at my screen right now. There's it's kind of like there's a lot of jihadi porn out there, and what they do is they love to take pictures and videos of themselves stabbing, maiming, dismembering, and beheading
Who does not? So-
their enemies.
So let me continue. In a public appearance filmed and posted online, members of Islamic State of Iraq and Al-Sham, one brandishing a knife, held up a bearded head before a crowd in Aleppo. They triumphantly described the execution of what they said was a member of an Iraqi Shia militia fighting for President Bashar. But the head was recognized from the video as originally belonging, the head originally belonging to a member of Aram al-Sham, a Sunni Islamist rebel group that often fights alongside ISIS, though it does not share its Al-Qaeda ideology. After inquiries, an ISIS spokesman admitted he was Mohammed Fares, an Arar commander reported missing some days ago. This could not be independently confirmed, but in an earlier video of a speech by Mr. Fares, he bears a close resemblance to the severed head in the later video.
Oh, that is just absolutely lovely. That has to be the story of the week. Oops, sorry, we cut off the wrong guy's head. But, you know, at least they manned up, right? They said,
yes.
oh, man,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Well,
we're really sorry about that.
Yes. In explaining the error, Mr. Al-Qahtani made reference to a story in which Muhammad said Allah would forgive a man who killed a believer in error.
That's right.
The
It was an
mistake-
honest mistake.
Oh, yes,
It
the
was an honest mistake.
Of a sort commonly cited as an argument against the death penalty around the world. Several other Islamist groups have formed alliances without its participation, but it continues to exercise control over large areas of Syria.
Okay. We just have a couple of minutes left, and so I just want to bring up a couple of points if I could.
Yes, please.
Here's another story here related. British volunteer jihadists. Yes. So far, Britain is not officially conscripting its citizens to go fight the jihad in Syria. But British volunteer jihadists say we shall raise the flag of Al-Qaeda on the White House and Britain is next.
Oh,
okay?
fantastic.
Related to that, there are estimated, at least right now, at least 1,000 jihadis from North America are on their way. They're either in training or on their way or actually on the ground fighting the jihad in Syria. And guess what happens to us when they come home, if they do come home?
Well, at least they're going to have jobs waiting for them.
At least they'll have jobs waiting for them like the Benghazi jihadis will. And this is how we're going to end our show today, folks. Obama Inc. wants Libyans to come to the U.S. and work in aviation maintenance and the nuclear fields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nothing could go wrong
What
there,
what
right?
could go wrong there?
Well, I don't understand. What's the problem?
Anybody out there have a problem with that? I thought, first of all, I thought we had a labor shortage already.
No, not a labor shortage. We have a job
We have a
shortage.
job shortage here in the United States for people who actually live here and want to work and pay taxes. So why do we need to import Libyans to the United States right now?
Well, it's really not so
And-
much importing them. What it is, it's a ban on allowing them into those fields.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Benghazi is just so long ago.
Yeah, that is
You know.
so, yeah, as Hillary Clinton said, you know, get
Well,
over it.
What's it matter?
Move right along,
Here's
move
the-
right along.
here,
But last thing I want to say about this, okay? Our Department of Homeland Security, on the advisory committee, Mohammed Biari is advising Barack Hussein Obama. He is a member of the Muslim Brotherhood and the Homeland Security,
Yes.
okay? So is it any surprise that
No.
the administration wants to reduce sanctions against Iran and threaten Israel? Is it any wonder that they want to bring in terrorists in our most sensitive areas in the United States? How many tens of thousands of jihadis are they going to import into the United States over the next few days? Next few days, next few months, next few
I don't
years?
know. How many do you think?
Oh no!
How many do you think
Uh-oh.
we got here? Oh, I'm breaking stuff. How many jihadis?
Jumpin,
How many
Jummah,
jihadis?
Freaky Friday! Thank you. Hope we scared you good. Have a good weekend. See you next week. And we're off to to the races.